The only movie in this trilogy I had watched, I remember, was Superman Returns, because that is one of my first ever superhero movies that I watched. And I remember the day I was watching with my dad. It was in a DVD. It had recently released. And I enjoyed the scene where they're firing bullets at him and they did a close up shot of a bullet going in his eye, or rather bouncing off from his eye. And to me, as a kid, that was one of the best shots ever on film. So, without wasting any time, the only thing I hate about this movie was that I did not need to know that Spider Man had a mushroom. I did not need to know that. I don't know why the producers thought that was a good idea. There are very few things which I think stood out in this movie for me. First, being the music. Actually, after seeing the new Superman movie by James Cameron, I had recalled the music, and when I watched this movie, it felt like a movie which had like a connected universe to the present time. It was crazy. The second thing I liked was the intro animation, where all the texts kept flying at us, flying away. The double exposure shots used in the intro. I think it's a lost art. Not much movies do. In fact, very few movies, except for the Mission Impossible series, do this. The story is very simple. It reminded me of the Man of Steel movie from 2020, Man of Steel from 2013. It follows the same arc. I guess that is the origin of how Superman movies go. I'm not really a big Superman fan, so don't roast me or quote me on that. But I think this is like the Spider Man origin story, which everyone loves to follow and show. So, as I knew like how things will go from here, I started looking for things which would be interesting. One of the first things I noticed was how the symbol for hope was different for every citizen of Krypton. I did not know that. I didn't know that there can be different symbols. I always thought the symbol for hope is always going to be Roman S or Latin S. So that was a surprise for me. The other thing I noticed was how the suits were made itself. They were made of those retro reflective material which you will find in street or people working in the urban areas. There's a lot of use of wides in the movie, not many close-ups. Yes, there are not many close-ups now that I think about it. Usually the communication between the film, what's going on screen, and the audience is not very obvious, like how we make films today. Nowadays the communication is very clear. One feels part of the story, one feels like they're living there. This movie to me felt like I was an observer from the outside. It was very different. It did not feel modern in a good way. A lot of the things happened behind the scenes, like Superman getting to realize his powers was not shown to us in a traditional format. It was shown via a montage where we know certain years have passed and Superman is slowly gaining knowledge about his planet, his people, his culture, whatever where he's from. In my opinion, I really liked the acting of Christopher Reeve as Superman. He was on point with his performance. It was a joy seeing Christopher Reeve act and fumble as Clark Kent while being confident as Superman. I really liked his physique. I don't know for what reason. I always thought that earlier Superman had weaker looking physique on screen compared to the newer ones, but I was wrong. It looked just as good. One of the very weird things I noticed is how there was a fruit seller outside the Daily Planet. I never really thought Washington would have fruit sellers on the street. So there's a scene in this movie where Superman is flying inside the Earth's crust, where the Earth is falling apart, and he's trying to mend it. And the underground scene felt very realistically filmed. I don't know how they achieved that effect, but it was well done. Other than that, all the other effects like blowing up gas stations, breaking bridges, dams, water flowing, everything feels so real. There are a few scenes where you can tell that it's a miniature, but only if you're looking for it. If you're not, everything looks practical, because most likely it is practical. There was not very much of visual effects you could do. There's also a scene of Miss Lane going underground due to the pressure of rocks, pebbles, dirt falling onto her car and pushing it beneath the surface, and that was very claustrophobic. I did not expect that scene to last as long as it did. And what followed that scene, I would not spoil it for you. I remember this scene as I had watched this movie like 15-20 years ago, shall I say. That was an aha moment. I did not really hope that this scene was from this movie. I was shocked by the scene itself and my memory of it. Anyways, the movie was great. I think it's one of the best performances of Superman. The score is amazing. The storyline is, I think, what an introductory storyline to a superhero character should be. Overall, it was a great movie. If I like the second one, I would review it too, but I'm definitely going to review the third one, so stick around for that. Bye-bye. I think the audio is going to suck.